Hey folks, good afternoon. We're going to process some of our onion harvest this year, so stick around if you want to see how we're going to put some of this away. We got Kelly home from work. We've got about a third of our onions that we're going to put away, and then we're going to save some for fresh, and we'll probably put some away later. So what I'm going to do first here is I'm going to clean the onions up. Then I'm going to give Kelly clean onions, and she's going to chop them, slice them, whatever we need to do for the freeze dryer. And whatever doesn't fit in the freeze dryer, we're going to vacuum seal and put in the freezer for future use. Got the last of the onions cleaned. Kelly's still chopping. I'm going to go get my cutting board washed and my knife washed up, and I'll help Kelly dice the rest of these. Now, if you've never heard this before, if you cut an onion north to south, it stays together a lot better than it would if you were to cut it this way first. So I'll show you. We'll do each of these a different way. So here's the one north to south. As you slice that up, it holds together all the way to the last cut. So now let's slice this one this way. See how this goes. I always have an issue with these things trying to come off when I slice them this way. Get down to the smaller part of the onion, they want to come loose. I know I just let that go, but like right here, it gets hard to keep them together, and then you got to just kind of chop them randomly because they all come apart. All right, there's our gigantic bowl of onions. So we're going to start putting the onions on our freeze dryer trays. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure them onto the trays. One large onion is equal to about 2 cups of onion. This is a 2-cup measure here. So I'm going to count how many of those I can get on a tray, and that way when we pull the freeze-dried product off, I can split it into the same denomination. Say it takes 8 of these on here. We can split whatever freeze-dried material comes off of here into 8 sections, or measure it out 8 different ways, and 1/8 of that will give us what's equal to about 1 large onion. All right, we're going to start measuring our onions out here. That's 2 cups. So there's 1. 2. 3, thinking we're going to be able to get 4. We'll try that. I took the mat out so it gives us a little more room in the tray. The mats aren't necessary. You only want to use those when you got a high probability of something sticking, say something sweet or something like that that may get sticky. I don't know. But like the milk and all that, we did without the trays or without the mats, and everything came right up off the tray just fine. So I think that'll work. Kelly's down wiping out the freeze dryer, getting the condensation out of it. She's already got it drained. So we'll continue to fill these pans and we'll show you our finished product. Got all 5 of our trays filled. So now we've got another step that we're going to do that you might remember from another video. Now here's our Amish white bread from one of the other videos we did. And we covered in that video that we weren't going to use this bread for consumption as bread. We were going to use it as to help with the freeze drying of the onions, because I think I misspoke earlier that the bread absorbed the moisture. Well, actually, I guess it absorbs the smell. So that's why we freeze dry it with the bread on top. And then you can use the bread when it comes out of the freeze dryer. You can make like Panko breadcrumbs with it. You put them in the blender, and they'll have kind of that onion flavor. They'll be amazing breadcrumbs. There's all of our trays with all of our bread. We put 6 slices on each tray. So now we're going to go down and put them in the freeze dryer. There we go. Last tray in. Kelly's going to fire it up. And then we'll see you when this thing's done. But we're going to go up and vacuum seal some of those other onions real quick. So we'll show you that. Kelly's getting bags ready for me. She's got these cool little bag fillers that came, or she bought for the freeze dryer. Then I just use my canning, my big wide canning funnel. We're putting 2 cups, which is equal to 1 large onion in each bag. So I know when I do a recipe, I pull a bag out of the freezer, I know I've got the equivalent of 1 large onion. Alright, got all our bags filled, so I'm going to start sealing everything. All done vacuum sealing. We've got the equivalent of 20 onions in here. We put a quart bag in the fridge for fresh use of the diced onions, and we got the equivalent of 20 onions down in the freeze dryer. So we processed a little over what probably equivalent of 40 onions. And that's the nice thing about packaging them this way. If you got a small onion, a big onion, whatever, now we have pretty much consistent size, about 1 medium to large onion in each package. Now I'm going to go play Tetris and try to fit these in the freezer, and then we'll see you back when everything comes out of the freeze dryer. We'll show you what that looks like. Alright, Kelly has checked the onions out. She's on her way to work. The onions are done. So I'm going to pull these out and get them packaged up. And then once we get that done, we'll prepare for the next batch. Here's our first tray out. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take our bread and put it in a Ziploc bag. Get the couple onions that are on it off. seal that up and set that aside. So like I said, when we were putting these onions in, there's 2, 4, 6, 8 cups of onions that we put on this tray. So now I want to take a quarter of our onions and measure them to see what the equivalent of dry onions is to the fresh onions, so we know what equals 1 whole onion. So we've got a quarter of our tray, and you can see we're still at 2 cups. So we didn't really lose any volume, we just lost moisture. So that's pretty cool. So 2 cups of our onion mix equal basically 1 onion. So we'll know that after they're stored in the larger jars. So let's get these packed up. Okay, we got all of our jars packed. We have a partial jar here. We're going to go upstairs and turn this into onion powder. We'll show you how we do that. But first we have to go stop the freeze dryer. So we just hit the touch screen and hit stop. And then we hit defrost. And that's going to defrost the unit. Looks like the defrost cycle takes about an hour and a half. So once that's done defrosting, we have to drain the moisture out of it, wipe it out, and then we're ready to go with our next batch. I'm going to store these onions in the root cellar real quick, and then we'll get upstairs. Kelly's been a busy girl. This is all of our freeze-dried food right here. Other than what's in pouches, she's got some stuff in pouches down here in the baskets. That's all freeze-dried food as well. We'll back up and give you a total view of the root cellar. Doing pretty good. Hopefully pretty soon we're going to have this full of tomatoes down here. So we're going to make our onion powder now. We've got 2 cups into our little container here, which is equal to 1 onion. So we're going to pulse this down and figure out what we have left when we're done. Okay, our container is done. We're going to take that out now and remeasure that. So we ended up with 1/3 of a cup of powder. So we know with our onion powder, it takes 1/3 of a cup of the powder to equal 1 onion. Now, I don't think that translates correctly to onion powder that you buy at the store because it's processed differently. But we know for our use, that's what we need. What are you pups doing? Have you been in trouble? Or you just want to go outside? Is it go outside time? Yeah? Alright, let's go outside. You girls ready? You ready? You gonna go? Crazy dogs. What do you want? So it's breakfast time, and I'm going to make an omelet this morning. So I'm going to take the rest of the onions in this jar. I'm going to rehydrate them for my omelet. See how long it takes. Well, within about a minute, our onions have rehydrated. And to smell these onions, they have the potency of raw onions. They smell just like they did before we dehydrated them. They don't have a crunchy texture anymore. But for soups and stews and stuff we're going to use these for, they don't have to be crunchy. They just got to have the flavor. So as a little treat, we're going to take some of our dehydrated eggs as well to make our omelet, and we'll show you how they come out. So 3 tablespoons of our egg powder is equal to 1 egg. And we're going to do a 2-egg omelet, so we need 6 tablespoons. And then this mixes 1 to 1 with water, so we'll need 6 tablespoons of water also. And we'll mix that right in the pan when we're ready. Now a lot of times, instead of doing like a traditional folded like omelet, I'll do like a scramble instead, like a skillet scramble. So that's what we're going to do this morning. So I've got my onions that we rehydrated here. I'm going to go ahead and just dump my egg powder right in with those. And then we're going to dump our 6 tablespoons of water in that as well. And then we'll give it a stir. So that's ready to go in the pan as is right there. You can see it already looks like scrambled eggs, because that's the way we freeze-dried them. The vacuum's coming to say hello. Never fails when I'm trying to do something. This thing shows up. I apologize for the vacuum noise. We've got our peppers and sausage. They're ready to go. So we're going to add our egg mixture in right on top of that. I'm going to turn our fire down just a little bit. Looks just like scrambled eggs coming out of there. So we'll let that cook a minute. Spread the onions around a little bit. So give it a little stir. Let the wet eggs get down to where they get cooked. And then we're going to kind of flip the mixture over a little bit. Much easier than trying to fold it. Okay, well at the bottom cook, we're going to add a little bit of pepper jack cheese. And then we're almost done. Well, that was a wonderful omelet, folks. You literally cannot tell the difference. I've had powdered eggs before, and these don't taste like powdered eggs. So next thing we got to do is we got to get this bread in a spin in the blender. We're going to take it, shove it in our Ninja blender. We're going to make breadcrumbs out of it, like Panko style. So we'll get that done. We'll bag it up. All right, I keep the breadcrumbs in the freezer because we don't want those to go stale. There's no preservatives or anything in those, and they'll stay nice and fresh in here. I think I'm making some meatloaf for supper, so we'll definitely use some of those breadcrumbs. So now we're waiting for the freeze dryer to defrost. I'll show you what we're doing next. We boiled this whole big stock pot full of new potatoes. We're going to take these, we're going to mash those like mashed potatoes, skin on, and this will be the next batch in the freeze dryer. But this video is probably getting long enough already, so we're going to end it here. We hope you enjoyed our little freeze drying tour we took you through. We've been doing quite a lot of it lately, and we really love it. This stuff lasts for a long time, and the flavor and the texture of the finished product is so much better than dehydrated. It's night and day. So until next time, stay safe, stay healthy. We love you guys. Come back and see us here at Markelly Farm.